a testament to his exceptional leadership skills and his commitment to driving sustainable economic growth and development in Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, please, with a huge round of applause, let's welcome the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Mr. Yofi Grant.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, my offer of breakfast wasn't good enough. The board chair of GIPC, my board members who are here, a Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. Amprecho. It's my pleasure to host you this morning at a very interesting time. And I believe that these days are days of challenge, but of significant opportunity. This is our third CEO's breakfast meeting this year, but it's a special gathering for members of the Ghana Club 100. And we are also excited to officially launch the 21st edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards. And no better set of people to launch it than the members of the Ghana Club 100 themselves. Indeed, we consider the Ghana Club 100 as authoritatively auspicious in Ghana's corporate world. Our theme today is Partnership for Prosperity. Building a thriving Ghanaian economy, and it could not be more apt given the current economic landscape. And a few things will surprise you though. Now, the GIPC has a mission to facilitate investments that drive economic growth. And these investments unlock opportunities and generate employment. And it's very clear that the bulk of the employment of this country is from the private sector. And our work has been at the forefront of promoting a conducive business environment through advocacy and supporting roles. And indeed, I am proud to say that our efforts have borne fruit in remarkable ways against all expectations. While global challenges marked by economic shocks, recession fears, financial market disturbances, persistent inflationary pressures, geopolitical and trade disruption and tensions have prevailed over the past 4 years and causing continued uncertainty in the investment landscape, Ghana has demonstrated relative resilience, and I say relative resilience with an average foreign direct investment, or FDI, of approximately 1.5 billion from 2020 to 2023. From January to March this year, total FDI has been in the region of about 123 million US dollars. Now, when you compare that to the fact that global FDI is decreasing, especially global FDI to Africa is decreasing, I believe that the country still holds a lot of interest for foreign direct investors. Of course, these efforts are set against the backdrop of government initiatives and policies, highlighted by the post-COVID-19 Program for Economic Growth, what we call the PCPEG, and the ancillary programs such as the One District, One Factory, Planting for Food and Jobs, and Ghana Cares Obatampan project. And these are supported by the IMF Extended Credit Facility, the ECF, under which Ghana today is rectifying the problems that we have over the past few years. The focus is on mitigating global shocks, ensuring stability, sustaining, or what we call debt sustainability, and facilitating key sector reforms, thereby steering Ghana towards rapid economic transformation and inclusivity. And I did say that we are somewhat achieving some positivity out of these programs. If you consider that last year, at the end of 2023, the IMF's projection was that Ghana's GDP will grow by 1.5 or 1.9%, thereabouts. At the end of the year, it grew by 2.9%. If you consider that the first quarter of this year, our GDP has surged by 4.7%, way above the predicted and projected growth parameters. We certainly can say that we are achieving some positivity out of the program. And it's born out of the resilience of our business environment, the resilience of our private sector operators who labor day and night to keep their businesses working. To enhance collaboration and partnership between government and the private sector, GIPC has been hosting these quarterly CEO breakfast meetings. These meetings serve as a platform for advocating policies and reforms that enhance the business environment in Ghana, welcoming both local and foreign businesses. In line with our steadfast commitment to making Ghana an attractive destination for investment, the GIPC and government in general has implemented a series of reforms aimed at simplifying the business registration process, enhancing transparency, and reducing bureaucratic hurdles. Additionally, it's our desire to make Ghana much more attractive and making sure that we are able to fuel our own indigenous businesses in partnership with foreign direct investment. And we are seeing some positivity there as well. These efforts have seen Ghana ranked as the most appealing destination for investments in West Africa, according to the Deloitte 2022 Africa Investment Attractiveness Index, highlighting our dedication to creating a business-friendly environment. And in fact, it's not just West Africa. It's indicated that we are the second most appealing destination for investments in Africa. But this does not mean there aren't any challenges. We are not oblivious to the challenges of doing business in Ghana, which, like many other countries, faces obstacles. And incidentally, the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the post-pandemic conflicts that are happening all over the world have still not brought about a stable global economy as a date. Many countries are still rattling and railing under the impact of those occurrences. But I dare say that the government of Ghana has taken several measures to address issues such as currency depreciation and the high tax burden as part of the 2024 mid-year budget review. And we have the Deputy Minister here who will give us a bit more of that and give you a lot more comfort than I can. Now, regarding currency depreciation, the World Bank's 8th Economic Update for Ghana emphasizes the importance of maintaining reform momentum to sustain economic recovery. It highlights that despite the pace of exchange rate depreciation, Ghana's economic indicators are on track due to efforts to restore fiscal and debt sustainability, reduce inflation, and strengthen financial stability. The report also recommends re-establishing fiscal rules, enhancing public financial management, and accelerating revenue mobilization for long-term growth. On taxes, and we'll have somebody from the tax agency here, so I hope it will give you some comfort. On taxes, the government has not introduced new taxes in the mid-year budget review, that I can assure you, which is a positive sign for businesses and individuals concerned with the high tax burden. Additionally, a couple of weeks back, we held a meeting at the Movenpick Hotel with the Minister of Finance, where there was a very cordial but charged exchange between the GRA and members of the business community. And we're able to bring some resolutions to quite a number of things. And even, assist with a clear understanding of what many believe is tax aggression. But at the end of the day, if businesses don't work, there are no taxes to be collected. So the important thing is to make sure that businesses work. Now, the World Bank report also recommends re-establishing fiscal rules, enhancing public financial management, and accelerating revenue mobilization for long-term growth. I said that earlier on. And so those are still key areas. Now, when we speak about fiscal rules, ensure that we only spend what we have, we also need to understand in a broader sense the impact of consumption And how do we stimulate consumption to grow our economy? And that is where the private sector comes in. And that is where we believe that Ghana Club 100 wields the bigger stick. The budget media review also includes a revision of the overall real GDP growth rate from 2.8% to 3.1%, indicating a focus on economic growth despite challenges. Now, as you all know, as business people, economic growth comes from consumption, stimulating consumption. And so that is one of the responsibilities that government also has, to ensure that we stimulate consumption to grow our economy. For us at GIPC, it's a very simple formula. The more investment we have, the more businesses we create. The more businesses we create, the more people can be employed. The more people are employed, the more taxes can be paid. And it's a cycle that we all embrace. And that is why we work hand in hand with the private sector. And that is why Ghana Club 100 is very, very important, because it highlights that we recognize those who put their efforts to ensuring that this cyclical nature of business and government relationship keeps going on. Further on, a pre-budget survey by KPMG and UNDP suggests a comprehensive review of our tax policies, including the COVID-19 levy, the petroleum levy, import duties, and growth and sustainability levies. The survey indicates that reducing some taxes may initially lower tax revenue, but could ultimately enhance it by positively impacting consumption and expenditure, which I just explained. It also recommends revising the free SHS program to allow financially capable parents to contribute to education costs while ensuring free access for needy students. Additionally, it highlights the need for structural reforms in the power sector to ensure stable and reliable supply, reduce losses, and enhance efficiency. These reforms aim to stabilize the currency and alleviate the high tax burden, and create a more favorable environment for businesses and promoting economic growth. The government's approach is cautiously optimistic, and the minister always says that, cautiously optimistic, focusing on maintaining fiscal discipline while fostering sustainable economic development. These measures collectively aim to enhance fiscal transparency, accountability, and resilience, ensuring sustainable economic growth. So it's not just stability, but also fostering growth. They should invariably be complemented by initiatives to expand targeted social protection programs to promote social inclusion and cohesion. Today, as we gather here to celebrate the launch of the 21st edition of the Ghana Club 100 Awards, we also celebrate the spirit of collaboration and partnership that fuels our economic prosperity. I've already mentioned that if this country grows, it's because we have a resilient, strong, and sometimes stubborn business environment that against all odds, they keep pushing, and we celebrate that. The Ghana Club 100 Awards have become a prestigious platform for recognizing and celebrating the top performing companies in our economy. These companies have not only demonstrated excellence in their respective fields, but have also contributed significantly to the growth and development of our economy. The theme for today's event, Partnership for Prosperity, highlights the importance of collaboration between the public and private sector. At the GIPC, we believe that sustainable economic growth can be fast-tracked and effectively achieved through stronger, meaningful partnerships. Our role is to facilitate these partnerships by providing the necessary support and creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in partnership with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade and Industry, not to mention others like the Ministry of Energy and Power. Now, this approach has been particularly successful in the manufacturing and services sectors, which saw a combined growth rate of 8% in the last fiscal year. In the spirit of partnerships, we have strengthened our engagement with both local and foreign-owned businesses through our monitoring and evaluation, aftercare, business development, and our diaspora divisions. as well as through our various flagship events and programs. For instance, our countrywide regional sensitization tours are designed to assist businesses to be well positioned for partnerships and capitalize on the opportunities arising from increased investment in the regions. These initiatives have contributed a 15% increase in new business registrations over the past year alone. And I have to say this at this point, that in 2023, normally every year, most of our registrations are from foreign direct investments. But in 2023, we had a significant surge in Ghanaian investments registering at the GIPC. And the number went up to 3.5 billion USD. That is a very significant development, that we are seeing Ghanaians reinvesting back into the economy and boldly doing so. Before, many people felt a bit hesitant coming to register at the GIPC. But now, we are seeing that there is a surge in that. And it's very, very encouraging. And it shows that something is working. Something is working. Some of these things are not frontal, but over time, they actually evolve. And we are seeing that evolution happen. That in time, we will see Ghanaian enterprises and enterprises registered in Ghana take over the commanding heights of the economy. I am very confident about that. The Ghanaian economy has shown remarkable resilience in the face of global challenges. In response to recent domestic and global economic developments, including the debt restructuring program with external and domestic creditors, the 2024 macroeconomic framework has been revised. There has been an upward revision of the overall real GDP growth rate, as I did mention, from 2.8% to 3.1%, an increase in the non-oil real GDP growth rate from 2.1% to 2.8%, and a reduction in the GDP deflator growth from 20.2% to 17.5%. These are all very positive signals for business. At the GIPC, we remain committed to undergirding the prospects by supporting businesses to attract investments and partner with foreign direct investment, and promoting Ghana as a premier destination for investments and for business, notwithstanding the challenges we've had. Ghana still remains strong. Ghana, as I keep saying, as a country in the center of the world, and for those of you who are geographically challenged, Ghana is the only country that can claim to be the real center of the world. We are the only country on latitude 0 and longitude 0. And that's something that will not change. And I believe in our resilience and our surge forward, our being the center of the world is very critical for us. As we usher in a new African economy through the AFCFTA, there are huge opportunities. There are huge opportunities that we can take advantage of. But those opportunities can only be actually manifested if there's a strong partnership between government and private sector. And if government policies are fashioned to ensure that our private sector remains strong, not just strong, but actually drives the African economy, I think Ghana is very well positioned to do that. We've already seen some Ghanaian companies export to some African countries. But this is the time when we should be looking at building billionaires. It sometimes breaks my heart to think that Ghana has been a major exporter of gold, almost close to 100 years, and the number one producer of gold on the African continent. But we haven't produced one billionaire out of our gold. Ghana is the second largest producer of cocoa in the world. We haven't produced one billionaire out of cocoa. Never mind what people think. I know we haven't. We are a major producer, one of the larger producers of bauxite. We haven't produced one indigenous billionaire out of bauxite. That just tells us that notwithstanding all the positive things we say, we still have not yet achieved what we ought to achieve. And I did say 2 years ago, in one of our meetings with Ghana Club 100, that I was praying very hard that in the next I said in the next 2 years, we'll see some emerging billionaires out of Ghana Club 100. And I don't know the books yet, but I haven't as yet seen. But I believe that we are well on track to let that happen. And so GIPC would always lend a hand. We'll push government to support this agenda. If we don't do that, then we are not changing the African narrative. The African narrative is that this is the most resourced continent. Today, we have the youngest continent, which is a major consumer potential. We have the continent that holds 65% of the world's remaining arable land. So there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't feed ourselves and feed the rest of the world. So our work is not done. And notwithstanding all the positives that we say, we still have a lot of work to do. I believe that at the GIPC, that is a core focus, and that is what has brought you here today. We will continue to push, we'll continue to drag you along to our investment missions and ensure that we form the partnerships that we are. But I would also not be fair to just say that we do not stretch a hand to those foreign direct investors who are in the market. Because even in the times of resilience, they have stayed and have worked. And I'm planting Ghanaian companies in their supply and value chains. Our efforts in promoting digital infrastructure and innovation have led to a 12% growth in the tech sector, further diversifying our economic base. And it's an area that I think we would like to see more in Ghana Club 100. In conclusion, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all our partners, our stakeholders, and the distinguished members of the Ghana Club 100. I think we salute you on a daily basis for your resilience, for your drive, and for your ambition to ensure that our economy stays alight and is the most attractive in Ghana. Your contributions and commitments are invaluable to our collective success. Let us continue to work together, build strong partnerships, and create a thriving Ghanaian economy that benefits you, benefits us, and benefits all. Thank you very much for coming.
Please, another round of applause. Well, Mr. Grant has said it all, as he had mentioned, indeed, focusing on the theme, partnering for prosperity. It is indeed a time to see Ghana and Africa rise to its own billionaires, if only we can come together to make this happen. Indeed, the goal is set, but we are not far from track in achieving that goal, but definitely we shall get there. Can I have an amen in the house? Fabulous. Thank you. Another round of applause for Mr. Grant, please. After this wholesome introduction and welcome, today promises to be very engaging as well, with conversations around the theme and also some activities where we should take some poll, since GIPC is informed by data, and as a data-driven agency, definitely would have some concerns and trepidations that may arise come through the polls as well. In the meantime, I just remember how the 20th celebration of the members of the prestigious Ghana Club 100 were last year in the 20th edition of the award ceremony. If you're with me, let's take a quick memory lane trip down that path while we take a quick look at this video that plays. Thank you.
For us at OBG, this is the 13th anniversary of collaboration with GIPC. And let me just say that in Africa, they do stand out as the world-class promotion agency.
20 years for any establishment, any individual, any agenda is a significant enough period. But for us, these 20 years carries with us a whole new level, because it represents the commitment and the dedication of the team at the Ghana Investment Promotion Center to, of course, celebrate Ghanaian entrepreneurs, businesses and brands, to amplify their achievements and, of course, to motivate them to even higher laurels and higher achievement. This year, 20 years in this celebration, we count down from 1998 all the way to 2023.
Ladies and gentlemen, we await the entrance of the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Shall we please be upstanding?
Celebrating success replicated not once, not twice, not 4 times, not 10 times, but 20 times. Ladies and gentlemen, GIPC has done it again. Here we are celebrating the 20th edition of the most prestigious corporate awards in the whole of Ghana. Put your hands together for the GC100 and for GIPC.
The first criteria was the fact that the entity has to be a limited liability company. So this is attesting to the fact that it has proper corporate governance structures.
For us at GIPC, ours is to complement government's efforts by instituting various measures and initiatives to provide the right support to the private sector. This including private sector in almost all our outward outreaches, and ensuring that they, with us, meet the investors looking at this country. And I must say that in the currency of my leadership at GIPC, the past 2 years have been the most active. It's been never a dull moment, with investors aggressively pursuing the opportunities that we have in Ghana.
As the board chairman of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, I am proud to witness the strides we've made redefining our approach to investment. To better serve investors and attract quality and sustainable investment into Ghana, GIPC, with the support of the World Bank, has developed a corporate investment promotion strategy and business plan.
Our presence here is a testament to the unwavering commitment of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and the government of Ghana to see the private sector succeed. And lest we forget, success is a collective effort. Each member of Ghana's business community, from the seasoned entrepreneurs to the emerging visionaries, have contributed to the vibrancy and dynamism that characterize our economic landscape. Number 1, in terms of Ghana Club 100, Newmont Ghana Gold Limited, Ahafo South Mine.
Thank you to GIPC for putting this together over the past 20 years.
Let the celebration begin.
Ghana Club 100, celebrating Ghana's business leaders.
A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All these are definitely our contributions, and knowing that in a year where we have worked tirelessly and hard towards driving a thriving Ghanaian economy, indeed this year will be worth another celebration for the 21st time. Thank you very much for taking us through these highlights as we move along. Not to bore you any further, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to bring on our next speaker, who is the keynote speaker. Our next speaker is a strategic leader and dedicated professional whose contributions to tax and fiscal policy have had a profound impact both in Ghana and internationally, also in academia and in various industries, with 17 years of experience in accounting, finance, fiscal policy, and economics. He has worked as a senior economic analyst at the Natural Resources Governance Institute, where he had led work on fiscal and broader economic governance of the extractive sector in Ghana. He is also the founder of the Ghana Tax Dialogue, a weekly radio and national TV program initiated in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking on fostering a collaborative economic environment, please let's welcome the Deputy Minister for Finance in charge of Revenue and MP for Dwaboso constituency, Honorable Dr. Alex Ampabeng. Please, a huge round of applause. Thank you.
It's for the New Patriotic Party in the upcoming election. And I'm sure next year, by the time you gather here for the 22nd, hopefully I'll be the MP. I'm sure what the CEO has said more than enough on the fiscal side. It leaves you very little to say. A very grounded CEO on our fiscal space. But permit me to also add something small to the business community. So the board chairman of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, the CEO of GIPC, captains of industry, members of the Ghana Club 100, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be here today at the GIPC breakfast meeting with the esteemed members of the Club 100. I extend my gratitude to the Ghana Investment Promotion Center for organizing this event under the theme Partnering for Prosperity, Building a Thriving Ghanaian Economy. I extend the warm greetings from the Honorable Minister for Finance, Honorable Dr. Amin Adam, who would have loved to have been here himself, but he has been dragged into an urgent assignment. He sent his best wishes. This morning, I would like to highlight the critical importance of fostering a collaborative economic environment to ensure sustainable growth and prosperity for Ghana. Our government remains steadfast in its commitment to creating an enabling environment that attracts both Ghanaian and foreign investors. As indicated in the mid-year budget read just last week, Ghana's medium-term macroeconomic outlook remains very strong and positive. Indeed, over the last 2 years, we have implemented decisive measures to achieve fiscal consolidation, economic stability, and growth. These efforts are yielding positive results, as was highlighted in the mid-year budget last week. First of this evidence is the GDP growth of 4.7% recorded in the first quarter of 2024, compared to the 2.9% recorded in the year 2023. Inflation has decreased to 22.8% in June 2024, down by 31 percentage points from December 2022. The exchange rate has stabilized, save for recent pressures, with an 18.6% depreciation rate to the dollar by June 2024, an improvement from 22% recorded same period last year. Our gross international reserves has improved to 3.1 months of import cover as of June 2024. We have successfully concluded the second review of our IMF Extended Credit Facility, disbursing $360 million, bringing a total disbursement to date of $1.6 billion. Debt restructuring has provided significant relief, including a $2.8 billion relief from the International Official Creditor Committee and a $4.7 billion savings from the Eurobond holders. And this represents a debt cancellation of $4.7 million alongside a $4.4 billion also on debt servicing for the same period, i.e. up to the end of the IMF program. Moreover, His Excellency the President on 16th of July at this very hotel launched an 8.2 billion SME growth and opportunities program to support the high growth potential of SMEs, an initiative designed to drive the growth of small and medium-sized enterprises in the country. This program clearly demonstrates our attempt as government to provide the necessary support for SMEs to scale up, become as productive as the Ghana Club 100 entities in the medium term, and to contribute significantly to our economic growth and development. Going forward, we will embark on more of such targeted investments into strategic sectors, including robust support for agribusiness, technology, and digitization, and to complete essential infrastructure projects to facilitate doing business in Ghana. With that policy orientation, I can assure you that Ghana Investment Promotion Center will continue to play a pivotal role in supporting government efforts to creating a conducive business environment in Ghana. By the numbers, total investment recorded from 2017 through to the first quarter of 2024 was approximately $13.1 billion and 1,193 projects across various sectors, reflecting robust investment activity and diverse opportunities in our economy. Looking ahead, several initiatives are underway to further enhance our investment climate. The review of the GIPC Act 2013, Act 865, aims to improve Ghana's global competitiveness. The development of a new investment code, an investor grievance mechanism system, and a comprehensive customer relationship management software also reflects our commitment to continuous improvement and digital transformation. Undoubtedly, more public-private collaboration will be relied upon heavily to drive our economic progress. The Minister for Finance's recent engagement with the private sector players, including the CEOs of the banks in Ghana, AGI, GUTA, Chamber of Commerce, underscore a strategic collaborations aimed at supporting economic goals through private sector participation. We believe that leveraging strength of both the public and private sectors will accelerate our economic recovery and foster sustainable development. The Ministry of Finance is thus actively working to create an enabling environment for businesses. A recent engagement with stakeholders in May 2024 to discuss how we can improve Ghana's business climate and improve the ease of doing business acknowledges investors' concerns about Ghana's complex tax system. In response to our collaborating with the Ghana Revenue Authority to streamline and revise administrative processes associated with tax administration. And this will not only end with administrative processes. We are also looking to assess and revise the entire tax system, including reviewing some of the tax handles in the country. And it's interesting to know, when I got here this morning, The first message I got from CEO is, when is my tax exemptions going to be? It clearly shows the concerns for businesses as he represents the bridge between the business community and government. And it's something as the Deputy Minister in charge of revenue, this is within my purview, and I have taken this on board critically to make sure we review the system, the structures, the administrative processes to ensure that the business community enjoys doing business in Ghana, and Ghana continues to be the destination of choice for flow of FDIs in the country. While we are committed to creating a business-friendly environment, it's imperative that we also ensure a fair and efficient tax system. We need to broaden our tax base and improve compliance to generate the needed revenue for our development. Taken together, we have an ambitious agenda for the private sector. Combined with policies already being implemented, it will offer a complete and compelling prospect to reposition us back on the path of growth. In conclusion, I encourage all stakeholders to persist in their collaborative efforts to build a thriving Ghanaian economy. Engaging in such discourse enables us to strategize effectively, harness innovation, and work together towards a brighter economic future for all Ghanaians. The government remains steadfast in its commitment to creating a stable and inclusive economic environment that fosters prosperity for everyone. I thank you very much for your time this morning, and may God bless us all. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can do it better. You can do it better. For the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance Revenue. Honorable Deputy Minister, I want to say this, that indeed at this point it has been prophetic that I speak of you as the Member of Parliament, and that congratulations to you already. We hope to see you cross over into next year, being sworn in also on January 7th. Wonderful. Please, a huge round of applause as we appreciate him one more time. As we move along, I'd spoken that of data being collected as we move along. At this point, we'd love to do so. Please, there are some QR codes right in front of you on sheets of paper. If it's not labeled the program outline, please scan the other one for the poll. The poll would be represented on the screen for us to all read through as we go along, and now scan to make our choices or select our choices directly via the web app. Thank you. Well, let's show by hands how many of us are done scanning the QR code. Let me see by hand quickly. Lovely. So yes, the very first poll there says, how many times has your company been ranked for the GC100 awards? How many times? I noticed that, yes, you can also use your phones to scan on the screen if you can do so, yes, but please, I believe we can take just about a minute or two to address this. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is still the exclusive third quarter edition of the GIPC CEO's Breakfast Meeting and launch of the 21st edition of the GC100 Awards here at Kempinski Hotel this morning. Another round of applause for our sponsors, KGL Group, VSF Global, Delta Airlines, and Bank of Ghana. Please, we can appreciate them much more. If we will move forward, ladies and gentlemen, I would love for us to now go into some conversations that would spark up our interest for partnering for prosperity. To do so and looking at a case study, please allow me to call on a person who has got 12 years of 12 years spent at Cocoa Merchants Limited, Ghana, and 5 years as Senior Vice President, Business Development and Investor Relations. Now leading one of the leading licensed cocoa buying companies, Federated Commodities Limited, as CEO. Also representing some of the few CEOs you would have as females here in Ghana and within the GC100. Please, let's welcome the Chief Executive Officer of Federated Commodities Limited, Hajia Maria Adamu Zibo. Hajia, you may pick a microphone right from there. And please take a seat, yes, comfortably as you can, yes. As we opportunity to introduce yourself and also talk about one or two things that you think partnerships have helped you move towards prosperity. Over to you, please.
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be here. Federated Commodities is one of the leading LBCs, as you said, licensed buying cocoa company. We've been doing cocoa since 1996, and we work directly with farmers, and we buy cocoa on behalf of Ghana Cocoa Board. So we work with about 70,000 farmers. We have directly employed about 600 staff, and we also are into logistics, transport, and then into IT and other related businesses to what we do. So partnership for us, our partners are mainly Cocoa Board, the banks, both rural banks, international and commercial banks, and then we have NGOs, we have multinationals, for instance, traders, international traders that partner with us to do sustainability and traceability cocoa. And we work with, let's say, external verification bodies like Rainforest Alliance, and then their partners. So we do quite a lot of partnership with also some of the contractors and then other related parties. So for us, obviously, when we look at what we do, we work a lot with, we impact, let's say directly or indirectly, over 400,000 Ghanaian people. If you take the fact that at least each worker or every farmer has at least 4 dependents on them. So we believe that we are making some, contribution to the livelihoods of these people. The partnership are essential, especially the banks that we work with, because they are the ones who give us the most of our support when it comes to our financial needs. But it's not been that easy. And so we believe that as we all talk about enabling environment, cost of funding is something that is very key to us as an industry and as a company, especially where we work within limited margins and then, fees. So taxes are also one of the things that we would be happy, to be considered for us as an industry. We want to increase, we want to improve what we are doing, we want to impact more lives. But growth is not that easy to come by, especially now that we are looking at going to processing. We started rice processing, we are looking at going to cocoa processing as well. And cocoa processing is a huge investment that comes with, that would require a lot of support and a lot of concessions, for people like us who are indigenous companies who don't have much in terms of foreign partners, involved in the business that we do directly. So having that enabling environment is really will help us a lot. And then, especially when it comes to interest rates, taxes, and then inflation. I think these are things that will help us grow bigger or beyond what we are doing currently.
Nice. Please, let's appreciate everything. This is just by way of improving the economics for you so you don't keep turning your neck. I was getting scared, probably you might lose it. Yes. At this point, please, I just want to find out, Hajia, quick one. let's talk about your involvement with GIPC and the Club 100. Yes. How has this been beneficial for you? Have there been challenges that we can talk about, real challenges that we can talk about? I believe that these will be views also equally shared by some CEOs in the room as well, and some successes as well, which is very important. It is true that the goal is set. We may not be there yet. You may not be where you want to be yet, but indeed what can enhance it so we can take it from looking at the successes chalked, what you appreciate so far, and what can be done to improve that. Yes.
I think we joined the Club 100 in 2022. It was the first time we attempted, and we're fortunate enough to be part of it. It has actually helped us a lot. It has given us that leverage that as a company you can boast of being among the top 100. I mean, being part of the Club 100 is not an easy achievement. So we are really proud of being part of the Club 100. And when we put it on your website and you have people looking at it, they take you seriously and take you as a company that can, that has that capacity to do, that is a serious company, even when you look at on the international level. For us, we are grateful to have also that relationship with the members of the club, especially sometimes when I see Uncle Yofi and we talk to him about some of the challenges that we have, how it makes it easy for you to have access to somebody who can help you, try to resolve some of the issues that you have. Recently even we were looking at certain exemptions because we wanted to do our rice project, our rice milling factory. And then immediately at the time we were looking at that, there were issues with regard to the fact that they had taken out the taxes on importation of agric products. We had the discussion and he was like, "Look, Hajia, you talk to me, let me see what I can do for you about that." These are some of the supports that we need, from this type of institutions. And also it helps you also have access. It's a club where you also meet your fellow CEOs. There are some people who have been in the industry much higher earlier than you, who have more experience, and then it's a club where it's easy to interact and then share ideas and then take a lot from the experiences of those who have achieved in their businesses. So it's really something that is good for us. We are proud of being part of the Club 100 2022-2023 member.
If you agree, please another round of applause. What can be done to make this better? What really can be done to make this better? As it is now, you appreciate it, you're happy about it, but what can be done to make this better for you and your company?
Yeah, I think we need more engagement, especially including the policymakers. If we have situations where the ministries are here, we have Bank of Ghana, regulators are around, and then members voice out their challenges and measures are taken, actions are being taken, and we can see it happening. I think it will help a lot because it's good to have these type of meetings. It's good to have people voicing their challenges, but we need to see it also being implemented. We need to see certain actions taken, to help, because we are here to help the growth of the nation. So what we want to see is an enabling environment, as the Deputy Minister said. So it is very important to see certain steps being taken for us to, that will help us as industries to grow.
We'll wait for the conversation to continue, but let me ask a final question. Where do you think would be a destination for you in 2024, looking at where you've been in 2022 and 2023, being a part of the Ghana Club 100? What is the destination for you that you think you should be there, but you're not there yet? What that destination is? What do you describe as that destination?
I don't know whether it's within the club, but at least we believe there is room for growth and for expansion. And to build onto, especially what we are doing now, the processing, going into industrialization. That is where I think the value addition would help us as a nation. So we would like to see ourselves among one of the top processing companies in this country. And that is our aim, that is what we are working at. Whether it is 2024, I think is too close, to see it as something where you can have all these things achieved, but we are working towards that. And we believe that within the next couple of years, we should be among those leading processing companies who are making an impact in value addition for the country.
Finally, what rank is your company at the moment?
Well, we are 33.
You're 33. Oh, that's a good one. Please applaud her. Yes. At least above the 48%. Yes. Now talk about that. Let's say, where do you think you want to be in the ranking this year? If we celebrate you in the 21st edition of the awards, where should you be?
Well, to be honest, among the 20s would be good. We
20.
were at 23 in 2022.
What happened?
Well, I don't know. Some few issues, but hopefully we'll be among the top 20. We pray to be there.
All right, we pray to be there, and I believe it takes work. Please, let's appreciate Hajia Adamu Zibo. Thank you very much for having this conversation with us and for giving us some insights into your company, yourself, and also your involvement in the Ghana Club 100.
Thank you so much also for giving me the opportunity. I'm really grateful for this forum. Thank you.
Please, let's celebrate her. Oh, come on, if we love the conversation, you want to put your hands together one more time. Please know that we are live on YouTube and also on LinkedIn on Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So please, you can look for the pages. If there are persons outside of this auditorium which you would love to share this exciting event with, please do so and share the link. So colleagues around the world would experience the power that is behind the partnership that we are enjoying here this morning. As we go along, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you a presentation by the ranking partners KPMG, and please allow me to introduce the person who will be dealing with the formula behind success, understanding the GC100 ranking process. He is a passionate person, passionate about macroeconomic issues, and has been involved in the post-budget analysis of the national budget statement and economic policy of the government of Ghana, and a review of Ghana's progress towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. With over 15 years experience in transactions, corporate finance, and infrastructural advisory services, ladies and gentlemen, please let's welcome partner, Deal Advisory of KPMG, Mr. Evans Asari. Oh, please do it better for him as he comes up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So KPMG's role is to take information that you give us. We plug them into the model and it generates the rankings. This is a predetermined criteria we use for the ranking. So I'll just go through a few slides, see if they can show the slides for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do this morning is to just explain briefly. This is just a 10-minute presentation. It will not be enough for you to appreciate what goes into this, but I'll try my best to explain what goes into the process of ranking the top 100 companies. So next slide. So I think that in terms of the context, okay, so the overview, we look at the context, the environment we're operating in, which I believe Yofi and then the Honorable Deputy Minister of Finance have done justice to that. Then the eligibility criteria. So let's go to the eligibility criteria. This is just highlighting the macroeconomic environment that we have experienced post-COVID, DDEP, and all the sluggish growth that we are experiencing. But I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. We are seeing some signs that the economy is taking shape. So the next slide gives us the eligibility criteria. So there are two levels. The first one is for a company to be eligible. Once we determine that, then we would put you into the process. So what is the process? Number one, the company must be a limited liability entity, because we want to assess your corporate governance practices. So it must be a limited liability company. That's the first one. The second one, the company must not be controlled by government. It should primarily be a private sector entity. Even if government has a stake in it, it should be very minimal. And so that is the focus, private company. Then it must, the other most important factor is that it must have a positive equity in 2023. That's net asset. If we take your liabilities from your assets, it must be positive. We have companies that have negative net assets. It is difficult for you to rank such an entity as part of top 100 companies. So it is very important. So your 2023, on your balance sheet, your equity position must be positive. It doesn't matter if 21, 22, you had some negative, because we understand the impact of DDEP, especially on the financial sector. Some banks recording negative equity. But over time, we should have it even out. So by 2023, because it is cumulative, you should have a positive net asset. If you don't have it, it will be difficult for us to put you through the ranking. So some people, ask the question, we submitted applications, but we were not ranked. You get the notification that you are not part, because any of these three, you did not qualify. So all these three must be present. A limited liability company must not be a government-controlled entity, and your equity must be positive as at 2023. Also, you must have tax clearance certificates as at 2023. Your tax situation must, because a company that is not tax compliant, it's difficult for you to put as part of 100 best performing companies. So let's go to I think this is the most important slide. There are 4 parameters we use for the ranking. The first one is size, the size of the company. The second is growth. Third is profitability. And then finally, impact. So let me explain this generally. Size, we are looking at the sheer size, absolute number, that the company's revenue, assets, position, net asset position, that's the size of that entity, is what counts as 30% of the weighting. So of the 100%, 30% goes to the size. Now, what we don't want to do is to focus on big entities and then we only award those that are big. So we've tried to moderate it such that we look at absolute numbers and relative numbers. So we don't look at just the size of the company so that you only have big companies coming up, but the size and then the growth. So the relative number looks at, for instance, the growth. So compared to the previous 2 years, how have you grown? Because we understand that all businesses are not on the same cycle in terms of their growth trajectory. Some are at early stage, others are at growth, others are at maturity, others too are on decline. So we use all these parameters to ensure that there's fairness in the ranking process. And then apart from growth, we look at profitability. You must be a profitable entity. Okay. And what we try to do is that we do over the last 3 years, because we don't think that for just 1 year it is enough. You must have done certain things the previous year or two for you to record those results in 2023. So we try to moderate it and average the last 3-year performance to be able to rank you in 2023. So the impact has 20%. Impact, we are looking at about 4 parameters. Your corporate social responsibility, how much you are putting into CSR. Then we look at your expenditure, tax expenditure. So have you paid tax? So we look at how much tax. That's why it's important we look at your tax clearance certificate. And then we look on your financials to ascertain how much tax you've paid, because you must have that responsibility to pay taxes. Then your investment in your employees. So how much you are spending to develop human capacity in your business. So in terms of L&D, learning and development, training, all the other things, skills development that you are investing in. So we look at that on your financials, how much you are spending on your people. And then finally, we look at your reinvestment, how much you are putting back into the business. Okay, after declaring profit, do you distribute it as dividends, or you retain the earnings and then you plow it back into the business? So these are the 4 parameters we use to be able to do the rankings. Size is 30%, the last slide. Size is 30%, growth is 30%. So what happens is that the company that is the largest, if you want to rank, the company that is the largest in terms of, say, total revenue, would have, and total assets will have the 30% as the weighting. Then we prorate it, depending on the next largest, then it is prorated against the first company. So the ranking, just happens like that, after which we then aggregate these scores, these weightings, and then the one with the highest. So there could be a company that's the largest by not necessarily be the first on the 100 ranking that we'll be doing. So that is, in summary, the methodology we use to do the 100 best performing companies in Ghana. So we'll do the same for this year, and should there be any questions around, and you can see myself or my colleagues who are here to be able to give you further information. Thank you very much.
Mr. Sari, please draw back for me a bit, please. Let's appreciate him while he comes back. Ladies and gentlemen, as much as he had mentioned that if you have any questions, I wish, please organizers, pardon me, I wish we could take a question or two while we are here, and let's see to address them, because just as I listened to Hajia say, she would really love to go back to be in the 20s, right? Yes. How many of us would love to move up? Please, yes. I like the hands that are showing. Yes. If that is the case, I'm certain that there's some questions on your mind you want to ask. Can I have some microphone in the audience? Can we take about 2 questions, please, out of this presentation? Let's take 2 questions. Let's be very clear. Let's be very set. Let's do things appropriately, and let's make sure that we edge and inch up. Please. Yes, CEO of GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant, has his hand up.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I have been confronted and asked many times, how come we have a large proportion of rural banks, represented in Ghana Club 100? Because in the minds of the ordinary people, they do not see the rural banks as really engaged economically or playing a very big role in the economy. So I thought I would throw that to you. I mean, if you can explain why. They are Ghanaian companies, they have every reason to be there. But there seem to be a preponderance of large numbers of rural banks.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So we must remember that this is a voluntary process. You voluntarily submit to be ranked. So we don't have all companies in Ghana coming onto the process. So for some reasons, the rural banks are very much ready for ranking. If they are here, they can put their hands together for themselves if they are here, because they come well prepared. It's as if they know there will be ranking, so they document everything, and they bring all their documents as they are. In fact, if we want to do a ranking of all rural banks, I'm sure they will even take over the Club 100. So for that reason, we can only rank companies that put in the application. So if we have 150 applicants and for some reason 20 or so are not eligible, then out of that we have only 130 to rank. If we have 50 rural banks, then most certainly they would feature in the top 100. So that is the reason. And number 2, the ranking methodology looks at several factors. Growth. Some of the rural banks are growing sufficiently to be able to come onto this in terms of the growth, in terms of profitability. In fact, almost all of them are profitable. Almost all of them. So profitability, they are doing so well. Growth, they are doing so well. And then impact, corporate social responsibility, they are also investing in their communities that they are in. So if you take away size, which is 30%, they have 70% to fight for, and they do that very well. Mr. CEO, I hope I have done justice to your question. All right, thank you very much.
Please, can I have another hand up? Yes.
Right, okay, thank you. I'm Charles. My question is on corporate social responsibility, ranking. Why do you consider corporate social responsibility as ranking, but not corporate social initiative? Because some companies take money companies. It is part of their agreement to ensure corporate social responsibility. Our base in somewhere in Accra here is so part of my company responsibility to ensure corporate social responsibility, but become corporate social initiative. So for me, it's better you consider initiative than responsibility. Responsibility is what you're supposed to do. You must do it. Initiative is where I see it necessary to do it. So when I do that, then I should have more marks. So I think you need to look at that again. Because some companies, it's a must that they must do corporate social responsibility. Some companies, it's a must. So we are comparing apple and oranges here, in my view. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Charles. Please, for the corporate initiative, do you spend money to do that? Just to clarify.
No.
If it is...
hold on.
Okay.
Manning setter.
Okay.
It is your part, it's part of their what they call functions, because they are more or less destroy some level of land there, and they ask you have to bring the land back. I have set up close to GIPC. I'm not destroying any land, so I don't have no responsibility to bring any land back. However, if I decided that in my profit 1% will go into something that become initiative.
Absolutely.
But something that you are responsible to, you are doing it. So if you are awarding it, I beg you differentiate between responsibility and initiative.
I understand you.
Thank you.
I think your point is well taken. I think it's a use of the word CSR. I think we consider all expenditure that goes to the community as part of that. So we definitely would consider the initiative as part of the CSR. So it's a definition that is where the issue is. Okay, I get your point, yeah.
I've been asked to move away from the microphone. Good morning. My name is Robert Ahom Kalenzi, a member of the board of GIPC. And this is something I want to throw out to the audience. The board have been talking about, we've been debating about the importance of sectorial targeting and sectorial identification as a key driver of Ghana's economic aspirations. We've talked today about processing, industrialization, etc., etc. So we have been debating this in the board for a while, and I'm keen to get, or we are keen to get some comments from the companies as to should we be having some weighting on sectorial? Should we divide sectorial and then perhaps from there you get a winner? What are the thoughts of some of the members here? It's not so much to you because it's a policy rather than you just enact whatever we decide. So I'm just asking the members here to give some feedback, what they think about the sectorial approach where somehow we need to bring which sectors as a country we want to encourage because it helps our development. If we make it just an open, we may end up with a particular look. So we are keen to get feedback from the businesses here. What, not just the businesses, you can also make an impact. What is the viewpoint of some sort of sectorial weighting to this whole GC100? Government priority, yes. As Alex is saying, government priority sectors. We keep talking about 5 or 6. We know where it is we want to go. We all know we have to industrialize. And yes, financial services is a key aspect of it, but they are an enabler. So that is also important. So how do we look at our target as a business? If you're running a business, every year you make a plan, don't you? You don't just get up one day and say, I'm running a business. If you are in the cocoa industry, you say that this year our target is to do X, Y, and Z. That is what measures your success. If you're a publicly listed company, you have to go out and actually tell people. So in the same way as a government, as a representative of the government, we have a target. And so should we not be celebrating or identifying those businesses that are living and demonstrating the impact of that target? And so should there not be some sort of a weighting? An open question.
An open question it is. Please, you can put up your hand right away. Yes, I'm right here. Charles, so I can do this with him. Yes.
Well, board member, we're grateful for your intervention. This is a position I believe is well articulated by the board member. I seriously sometimes wonder how a government will have a clear agenda and its agencies might not be tapping to stimulate the agenda to meet its KPIs. And that's what he said. So if agriculture is underpinning your developmental paradigm, how can we not put a sector and put a weight on it on your Ghana Club 100? And if you go on in other sectors, value addition, and I'm glad, and when the question was asked, what is your desire? Is it to do processing? And that's the value addition. And that is what will drive your export. And when listening to the Deputy Minister on this presentation, what is the underpinning issue? He did say that the depreciation in this current year was 18+ % as against last year. That 18% significantly is what extra debt you have on your debt portfolio. So if the forex, through value addition, and we can put a sector on it, of course we'll give you a mandate. Thank you.
Any other, please? Any other? Probably one more, and we can wrap this up and have the conversations after breakfast. Yes, one more right there. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I'm CEO of a rural bank, and I think that once I only have come, I have to make an intervention. As was said, we are community-based. We are into rural financial intermediation, and we stimulate the rural economy, agriculture, agri-processing at the basic level. We are intervening in those spaces. And when it comes to supporting the rural economy, we are the champions. If as a rural bank, we are talking about employment generation, and a bank as small as mine gives employment to over 400 people, then you cannot play down the role that we are playing in the economy. And so, if you see us in the rankings, it is not just by accident. We are there because we are really supporting the economy at the rural level for the economy to grow and for us to generate employment at the local level. The firms that we support, the rural enterprises that we support, the employment that they generate, it will be surprising that we may be creating more employment than some of the big firms. So I don't want us to look down the fact that the name is rural. I have a lot of corporates that I am supporting in millions of Ghana cedis for them to be able to produce. Even though I'm based in Takrady in the Western region, companies, big companies in Accra here, we are financing them. So maybe it's time we look at it and not just look at the name rural and think that we are rural. Come to my... In fact, some of the commercial banks come to my head office and they are surprised. And they say, why don't you change the name rural? I say, the name rural is generic. It doesn't mean that you're in Krasi Bank. It is rural because we were meant to stimulate the rural economy. So please, before you judge us, come and look at what we are doing. And you'll be surprised that, yes, we are keeping the economy running. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, on this note, we wrap up this session, please. Another round of applause, please. I like this. I like the sound of that. The fact that we are rural, you know the rest, don't you? I believe in the 21st edition we'd have the first 20 spots to all rural banks, right? Yes, please, let's put our hands together for all rural banks. The mandate is huge. The mandate is huge. Still remaining committed to what GC100 is all about. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to move on. Do we have a go-ahead, please? Do we have a go-ahead, please? Yes. To do so, please, there's a highlight or a spotlight on one indigenous company here in Ghana that is into human capital. Ladies and gentlemen, please, ranked number 80 in the GC100. Please, let's take a video that spotlights Lene HR.
At number 80. Lene HR.
My name is Ellen Hagen, Group CEO of Lene HR. One of the things that we boast about is that we are the only HR company to have been listed in the Ghana Club 100, something that we are so proud of. The first time in 2011, we ranked 50th. The second time in 2012, we were ranked 34th. And then 2016, we went to 94. We didn't mind, so long as we're in there, we're fine. 2019, we were 54. 2022, tough year for us, but we still made it to 83rd. And 2023, 80th. So we see this as a stamp of approval. Though we know who we are, it urges us to do even better and to impact people with our services.
A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. I believe we would all agree that the conversations were really interesting, right? Yes, we'll delve into some more conversations here with the panel discussion that follows right away. Please allow me to bring on the panelists, but before that, may I ask that we have microphones for our panelists right away, please. As I start with the Head of Business Regulatory Reforms, Ministry of Trade and Industry, Mrs. Diana Efriye Addo. Please take a seat with us. Oh, you can do better for her. I appreciate you. Madam, you can sit directly by the third seat from the left. Yes, thank you. Oh, that's okay. Yes, that's okay. Thank you. Also, please let me invite the President of the Association of Ghana Industries, Dr. Humphrey Dake. Please follow suit in that order on that seat right from there. And a very good brother and friend of mine who is also partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana, Jijeje Fiajo. Please, another round of applause. Steering the conversation on the topic streamlining regulations for business, this moderator is a member of the Ghana Bar Association. In fact, he's a heavyweight who lifts bars of a different kind. I'll start by saying he's a member of the Ghana Bar Association, the International Fiscal Association, the International Bar Association, an associate member also of the American Bar Association, a tax practitioner of the Chartered Institute of Taxation Ghana, a member of the South African Institute of Taxation, and a member of the Ghana Association of Restructuring and Insolvency Advisors. Please, let's welcome the director, Arete Solicitors, who is the moderator, William Kofi Owusu Dimitia, please.
Thank you very much. Hello. Good morning, Honorable Deputy Finance Minister. We have met on a number of occasions on tax issues. To the CEO, board members of GIPC board, and to the distinguished ladies and gentlemen that we have the privilege of sharing thoughts and ideas with this morning. As I was looking at the time, I realized our time is fast spent, and so people have other engagement, hoping that we bring this panel discussion to an end so that we can continue with the other issues. So as we know, the theme is partnering for prosperity and building a thriving economy. And we are looking at streamlining regulations and businesses. I have distinguished members of the panel, and I'll be throwing questions to them. And as we go along, we'll see how the conversation picks up. And so just by way of starting, we'll be looking at the challenges that we have in regulations in Ghana for businesses. And with that, I will start off with the AGI rep, Dr. Humphrey. And looking at him, and I would ask him a very simple question, but one that's loaded. If you can please tell us, what are the biggest challenges that businesses in Ghana, especially those in AGI, face when it comes to business regulation? Now, in this, I want us to look at it from a certain perspective. So, for example, if you pick a company manufacturing, say, biscuits, what are the type of regulations that company may be faced with? And how difficult are the compliance levels, one in terms of the nature of the regulations itself, and two, the multiplicity of the regulations and how that impacts the business and this bottom line.
Thank you. Kofi, right?
Yes.
I guess speaking with this background, you don't be surprised about the kind of questions he's tipped. We'll do our best. My prelim comment is that the challenges in a free market economy and its ability to balance regulation to maximize benefits as against negatives. It's a complex one. Once you have that understanding clear, and the case study of Ghana and a low to medium economy with the complexities I have described, will then set the discussion in context. On the said note, zooming in directly to the biscuit factory. What are the challenges in the biscuit factory? The first regulation issue one would think of, it's running a biscuit factory. What are your inputs? Flour, which is the major, sugar. However, standardization is one of the key issues of your raw material. Then you ask the question, which agency is in charge of standardization and certification of the product? So you come to the Food and Drugs Board and then that of the Standards Authority. So what are the regulations? There are influx of products into the country currently as a result of another regulatory issue, which is the tax element. And may I explain that? The straight levy, which was slapped on us in the 2017 budget, automatically escalated our cost of production. Once that happens, all the factories producing flour have a direct cost of extra 6 to 7% by virtue of that. Automatically, that leads to uncompetitiveness. That is another challenge. I named the first one, cost of doing business. So I gave you an example. So the next impact is uncompetitiveness. The next impact, by virtue of that, then they start looking out other sources of importing flour. So there are other companies that are trading. There are others that are producing. They take advantage of regulation to bring in excess flour. And then you ask, what is the Standard Authority doing? Because I know the capacity of this factory. How come he's importing more than he can produce? He then sells the rest into the market, undermining competition. So the issue of uncompetitiveness also comes in. You could go on and ask yourself, so when the Standard Authority in its office, using all the benchmarks of standardization and in their operations, can appreciate that this flour is good. However, in the field, what is the field visibility of the plethora of flour on the market? Do they conform to what you have in the office? What are the infrastructure available for the Standards Authority or the Food and Drugs Authority to compare notes and make sure that my regulation and the product in the market are conforming to standards? So I've listed a number of challenges in there, and competitiveness, high cost of doing, that lack of infrastructure in doing what? Efficiency in terms of the role of the agencies in regulating. And therefore, the factory that is producing is uncompetitive and is facing a lot of challenges.
Thank you very much. I think that's a loaded one. And as a tax person, I was laughing. I think G was also laughing in the impact of the straight levies. Now, just to follow up on the feedback you gave us or the information you gave us, is an issue of overlapping regulations a challenge also for businesses? So, for example, which one of them would have an impact? Let's say still pick the basic making factory. Would it be Food and Drugs Authority? Would it be Ghana Standards Authority? And when it comes to other things, such as business operating permit and other things, do you see a challenge for your members in terms of the various regulations that they have to comply with, whether there's necessary information out there for them to know what they need to comply with, and how easy is it, for example, for you to get Standards Authority to pass a product? What is the timeline? What is the cost associated with obtaining those licenses? Those challenges, do they also impact the business of your members?
One, lack of consultation. The interagencies engagement and in the enforcement of the regulatory issues. And he gave an example in the case of Food and Drugs Authority and the Standards Authority, in the case of the Fiscal factory. How do they coordinate, as well as GRA in terms of taxes, as well as it's still GRA again in terms of smuggling products that are coming in. How do they coordinate? The effective way is these agencies and regulatory authorities consulting and engaging a factory like that through the AGI. So that when I sit here, you throw a question like this to me, I should be able to appreciate it and bring it, because they are cross-cutting issues. So consultation is one of the key issues. And in the course of the consultation, you can fix the issues of the permits, the business permit, the various permit, the municipal, what do you call them? Assemblies are demanding, which is increasing our cost of production. Consultation will solve that. Bureaucratic issues that perhaps I may apply for a particular service in an agency, and the various bureaucratic issues that are frustrating us, through consultation, you elicit this. And then when you do your KPIs, or your key performance indicators, and you throw a searchlight on the biscuit factories, and the sector or the officer in charge, and then you tick to see whether you are conforming to the KPIs as captured, it will be visible automatically. And another way to fix this today is through technology. So consultation really matters.
Thank you so much, Doc. You've given us, I think we can do it for him. We can clap for him. He's given us good ideas. Now I'll go to Mrs. Addo, who is in charge of regulation at Ministry of Trade and Industry. From where you sit, madam, what are the sort of issues people bring to your attention for redress in terms of regulation, and how that impacts general trading and innovation within our industrial space and within the broader economy in the country?
Thank you very much, Kofi, and then thank you very much, GIPC, my honorable. My former minister is also here, Honorable Hunka. Thank you very much for the opportunity. If you talk of regulation, what we have realized is that they are most of the time overlapping, and then also lack of information to the general public. And you talk of procedures. So what can we do to make sure that the public have the information? Is what the government or we are doing now. Because it's a general concern. Sometimes not that the regulation is not there, or the policy is not there, or there's nothing guiding a particular sector. It will be there, but the information available. In economics, we say information asymmetry. If the person don't know, it's the person who is going to assess it, and the person doesn't know where to go. So most of the time, I get people coming to the office or calling and asking specific institutions how they can go through the processes and then the procedure, sometimes the fees and charges. If it's there, for me, it will bring down or reduce speculations, unnecessary speculations. So that is what we are working towards to make the information available to the private sector, working with all the necessary institutions to make sure that whenever and wherever anybody is and looking for any information concerning regulation of a specific sector, the person can easily find it. And I can see you've mentioned permitting. It is not easy going through the permitting procedures. Like there are a number of institutions, depending on what you are doing, comes in, that at times you may not need EPA permit. There are times you may need EPA, may need fire, you may need water resources, you may need, a lot of institutions you have to go through. So the person must be aware what are the things or even the documents I have to submit to be able to get this particular permit or to be able to get this license for specific institutions. So that's what it's a general concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, we want to come to you and look at from PwC's perspective, giving your global reach and yes, giving also your tall list of experience from other jurisdictions. What do you believe is the best practice in other jurisdictions in terms of streamlining regulations in a way that, one, ensures that the standards are maintained, and two, does not inhibit the innovations that we require from businesses in order for them to thrive and be productive in the economy?
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. So, before I get to it, the first thing I'll say is that I think it's not lost on us that there's a need for streamlining. I think we all feel the pain, and that is why having this conversation. Yeah. And I spend a lot of time, I am predominantly tax, but I spend a lot of time around regulatory registrations and all of that. And you'll find that from one desk to the other, you may have to resubmit some documents. Mm-hmm. And some places you submit them, you may have to do that again. If you think about it, I think Ghana can learn from a number of countries. And in the learning as well, I think we must know what we want so that we know what we are going to learn. Because a lot of the countries were looking at their own focus, policy. We hesitate a lot of times to talk about Singapore and all of that because it feels like it's too high a standard. But if you come to Africa, I'm sure you've all heard Rwanda. There's something going on there. Okay, there is some streamlining that has gone on that is yielding results. But before Rwanda was Kenya. I spent some time in East Africa. But you realize that Kenya set itself up to be a hub of a sort, even for the East market. And the views are divided about Mauritius, right? But they knew where they were going and they decided to take those steps. Now, regarding what we can do, sometimes the issues are so many, you try to summarize them and it becomes a bit difficult. 3 things, or maybe 5 things I would say. 1, legal framework, not rules or the laws, but work. They need to talk to each other. They need to. Second thing, transitions. Sometimes I get the impression that we enact new laws or we set new rules without realizing that already people who are running by the old rules. Then suddenly there's just this break and there's a bit of a pandemonium. And then it results in conversations. I'm not saying consultations are bad. The third one I think about in the broad terms, I've come to understand that they mean 2 different things: red tape and bureaucracy. Red tape and bureaucracy. Both of them are creating some inefficiencies, so think about it that way. And then the fourth one, digitalization. Now, what happens is that if you don't deal with all the others, right, it's like what we say, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. So if you place digital processes over processes that are not efficient, you will find that you'll be making a mistake there. And the fifth one, and I think we dwell there quite a lot, all the consultations and all the conversations that we have. And every time, I don't see all these 5 points as competing. What I see rather is that they actually lend support to the other. So it's not just digital, it's not just the one-stop shop, but how do we fulfill a particular obligation around registering a Ghanaian company, only for us to be told by GRA that this is not good enough or this is not relevant. I want you to give me more proof. Is it the same country? Is it the same government? These questions we'll always ask ourselves. So I think we should think about the criteria. There probably are more, but then there are countries we can also learn from. And when we go there, let's just be clear. Okay, what has won it for them? Is it streamlining around red tape and bureaucracy? Is it that they have a strong framework, laws actually connected and talking to each other?
And those are the questions. And I'm speaking more to a lot of the authorities and those who maintain standards to think about things in that light. And they can get a lot of the information from the industry players as well, based on other places they've operated in.
Thank you very much. Now, I think he raises interesting points, which we would like to dwell on a little bit, that even in looking at best practices, it depends on what we want to do as a people, what are our aspirations. So, for example, if we say we want to get a business registered in, say, 48 hours, to what end? And what should drive that particular process? So in terms of the information we put out there, can GRA obtain that information? Can Ministry of Trade obtain that information under a secured portal, such that, or even Ghana Standards Authority, the district assemblies, can you apply for business operating permits through the portal? I see an innovation like that that is being done by the Office of Registrar of Companies. Whether you can have a seamless situation where information is fed into one particular database and then others can piggyback on it and then work through to be able to get that. So I come back to Ms. Ado. What is Ministry of Trade and Industry doing at the moment, or what are the plans you have in place to address some of these teething challenges in terms of how we go about regulating businesses, how we reduce the burdens on them, and how we ensure that, again, the standards are maintained so that we do not have things being done that do not meet the required level of things that we need in this country.
Thank you very much, Kofi. When you come to standardization and then the information to the general public, just you just mentioned, maybe I have to say this, Business Regulatory Reform Program is a program that we are working with all the government agencies to be able to make the environment conducive to attract investors. So that is simply put. And we have a policy program that we are running. And under this program, we have the various technical working groups. We take taxation, we take insolvency as we work with you, and then we take starting a business, and then business location. The starting a business, you just mentioned, is as part of the reforms. And all these technical working groups are chaired by private sector people. It's only, let me put it this way, the dispute resolution that is chaired by Judicial Service, the current Chief Justice. So when we meet, we discuss the reforms area that needs to be done in the various sectors. So taking the starting a business, for example, there's a recommendation, and the work has also been started, when, decoupling the ORC from the Office of the Register of Companies from the ORC was part of the reforms, to be able to also work in relation to Insolvency Act implementation. And a new system is being developed, and this system is robust in such a way that when you register your company, currently when you register your company, the district assemblies also get it. When you register a company now, when the system is fully developed, even the banks are connected, the legal, judicial service connected, Lands Commission, Energy Commission, all of them, like any government institution in Ghana that gives licenses or permit will be connected to the same system. And then when we pick the permitting institution as well, we are also working with the institutions concerned. We pick EPA, fire service, local government, and then the district assemblies. They are the final decision makers. But you have to get all these permits before you can get. So now we have a working group for that one alone, headed by the Office of the Head of Civil Service himself. And before we move into the digitalization, just like my colleague said, what are the processes? We need to reduce the processes, and then implementation of their own regulations as well. If the regulation says within 30 minutes I have to get my permit, we are making sure that within 30 minutes permit must be issued. So currently we analyze data every quarter, and we also have a meeting with them and present their old data to them. And it has become a challenge between them, whereby every district now, the DCs, if you look onto my phone, they are sending me messages what they are doing and the timeline they are able to meet now. We meet all of them quarterly, and then we present to them their own data. This is what the law says. I remember telling one of the districts that, you know what, if you don't take, I will sponsor a private person to see you, because this is what your law say, and you are going beyond the 30 days. And we are working with EPA, some of the things that they have to do to be able to reduce or operate within their own time. We are also doing that. And we have Ghana Fire Service. For them, a system has been developed, fully, what do they call it? The permit, safety system. Yeah, the safety certificate. From next year going, if you want the fire permit, you apply online, the certificate will be issued to you online as well. So we are doing everything possible to make it work. And when you come to information to the general public, due to the consultation, as I said, lack of information, we realized that we needed to develop a portal. So the portal link is www.brr.gov.gh. If you go there, almost all the government regulations, the policies, we've automated them. We learned from Australia, as we said, we have to learn and then customize it. We learned from Australia, UK, Singapore, and all the government developed countries, and then currently Zambia. They are doing well when it comes to the usage of the government institution coordination in relation to permitting. So we picked that one from there, and we've developed a portal that puts all these 4 countries together. So you can also do national consultation on the portal. It's one thing that we've also come out that there's also the need to be institutionalize our engagement with the private sector. So currently, with the consultation with the private sector, we have a framework being developed, yet to be launched, so that we have institutionalized consultation with the private sector. We are working all the time with GIPC to make sure that the challenges they get, we also move to the ground and make sure that the institutions get them. It's not been easy, but we believe that in the next 4 or 5 years, like the Lands Commission, we get a search department for Lands Commission. And we are working to fully automate Lands Commission, so that if you are looking for something, if you are, you have a land and you have to search and you have to register, it's not going to be a big deal. Rwanda has done marvelously when it comes to land automation, and that's what we are moving to. We have the judicial issues. We are working with the Chief Justice. Moving forward, the next 5 years, we want to fully automate the court, starting from the district court. So these are some of the things that we are doing, leading by the Ministry of Trade and Industry under the Business Regulatory Reform Program. Thank you.
Very much. I think that's quite loaded. And one thing I always say is that we have very nice ideas as a people. But for me, the issue is about implementation. I'll put you on the spot, madam, and ask, for Ministry of Trade and Industry, what is the ideal timeline that you look at that, for example, if a business is starting up, what is the ideal timeline you should take the person to say register the business and get the permits? What is that ideal timeline? And based on that, probably we can have deeper conversations on how we streamline the processes to be able to meet that goal.
Thank you very much. As I indicated, like the business registration, Zambia one, it takes 24 hours for you to register your company. And the same way we are going, 24 hours, get your business registration certificate online as well. And if you take the permit, there's a regulation. The permit is within 30 days. Within 30 days, now working with them and everything, we've come to some of the institutions doing 20 days and 30 days. And I must say it's an average. It depends on the type of permit you are looking for. We are also looking for, working with the EPA, and currently EPA regulation is under review as part of it to make sure that the SMEs, the small, medium, we should be able to get it within 10 to 15 days. So we are reviewing the EPA Act as well, and then regulations. You know, if the regulation says this, then you can hold somebody also responsible for that. So with the timelines, and with the procedures, the Lands Commission, for instance, the search department, when we started, we were talking about their act. So we supported Lands Commission, the act has been passed. We supported GARIA to pass the GARIA Act, and then the regulation is being developed. When you get all these things put together, we sit down, we decide that we are not going to say maybe within 10 days, all of us looking at the procedure. And that's, I like the way he said, there's a difference between bureaucracy and the ratifies. Like, bureaucracy is good, checks and balances. But how do we do it in such a way that it's not going to create inconvenience? So we all sit down, we discuss the procedure. This your procedure used to be 10 days. We discuss to reduce it to, let's say, 5 days. So that's what most of the institutions, we are going with them to reduce the number of days and then review their regulations as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sado. Now, I'll go back to Doc. Doc, from where you sit, and I know you have a lot of industries under your belt, and a lot of them come to you with a lot of issues on some of these regulations and its impact. And you raised a very interesting one about the taxes, where you had the straight levies and all that, and whether there's a need for us to be bold enough to say, let us move all of them to become the input-output work, because there are unintended consequences that may flow from that. So as we decoupled it and we raised government revenue, we also had an issue with unintended consequences where it built up the cost of doing business for some people and made it easier for others to rather import than rather to produce. So if you look at regulation, which ones would you say government should consider reviewing to do away with, to reduce its burden, and to ensure that businesses are able to thrive in Ghana, because we cannot be an import-led economy and develop? I know I'm putting you on the spot. Probably looking back at your PhD thesis or something of that sort again, Doc. But which ones would you...
Public defense.
The Viva. So, Doc, which one, if you can pick any industry or any particular industry and look at, which one do you think we need to have a second look at as a people? And so we have it as a takeaway from here, and then we can carry on the conversation a bit further. Thank you.
There are a number of them. I don't know which one to start with.
Please prioritize.
Let me just try and... okay, let me give a recent one. And I was just listening to my sister from Moti and saying a good narrative that all the data is coming in and they are stimulating. And I'm asking myself, so where is the data that gives you an analytical decision to influence Dr. Pabin's output when he's making a decision on an emission bill? In February recently, the emission bill 1112 was passed. And then we asked for the practice and notes. Consultation wasn't significant. So 6-7 months down the line, the bill has been passed. Yamutu. We can implement it. So I asked the question, so if you have all this data, how is he influencing his decision to bring an emission bill, granted that he didn't even consult industry significantly? So if your input are really very factual data, correct data, it must be interpreted. That decision must influence this. Same, you could go to the Ghana Statistical Services. Data churn out. And if you look at the trend of inflation, in region by region, and he does it specifically, and you're an analyst. So if you go to Kumasi or you go way in Bron, and the data demonstrate a particular figure, it must be interpreted to make decisions. So it's just not only gathering data into the portal. Who is analyzing the data? Fortunately, today you have AI. AI can be very supportive. Well, they claim they are doing it. Let it influence the decision of the tax office. But for that, high cost of doing business will become the constraint of most of the business players. Unintended consequences will emanate from such a policy. Another recent one that came up, and we're still grappling with it, the double taxation and taxing residents in Ghana. Today, a number of expats are leaving because presumably their tax, where they domicile and then where their tax origins are, might not have double taxation treaties with us. Unintended consequences. We are losing some skills. So you see, when you do not do the consultation, when you don't do the interpretation of the data, when you churn out the policy, there are consequences that are frustrating the community. And I love that of the levy. By virtue of that levy, the unintended consequences of the levy on the VAT made us uncompetitive. As much as you found a nice way to avert the tariffs, because when you go on the tariffs, the economic bloc will come against you. So when you slap a levy, you nicely dodge it, but there are unintended consequences. He understands, so he's smiling. So, what other policy issues? What's that also? Okay. We can look at that of another one that we think we need to explore is the permitting one and the cost of power. Okay, regulatory issues on power, which is one of our challenges in the industrialization. And also, and I will come back to another one from Yofi's outfit. He's pushing a few amendments in the GIPC laws. Look at the unintended consequences. And I can pull one out and read it to him. Let me do that for the sake of the platform. And I deliberately brought it up.
I like that. I like that.
Ghana Investment Promotion Center Amendment Bill 2023. And in the second paragraph, it says that provisions which impose blanket minimum foreign capital requirements on companies with foreign participations are undue and unwarranted restrictions on foreign direct investments. I proceed also to page 5, and he's seeking to amend 2 acts. Consequentially to the repeal of Section 27, Clause 29 of the bill repeals subsection 1 of subsection 28 of Act 865. I leave that one. And then the second one says, Clause 30 amends paragraph B of subsection 1 of Section 29 of Act 865 by removing the requirement of an enterprise to be set up for both exporting, trading, and manufacturing before qualifying to be exempt from the minimum capital requirement under Section 1 of Section 29 of Act 865. When he seeks to do this and he implements it, your agenda for export-driven economy will be undermined. And the capacity of indigenous companies to build capacity to export will be undermined. We've sent him a letter and we seek to discuss it with his lawyers. There are unintended consequences when we bring policy. You should look at the bigger picture and what is the agenda of the government. You seek to do industrialization, you can't do this. Capital formation will be undermined in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. On the issue of minimum capital requirement, I know when we'll have a session, it's a thorny issue. When I teach in class about minimum capital requirement and whether it's justified or unjustified, you have various ideas around the policy table, and it always inflames passion. The argument one is that you need to preserve your domestic industries. It's not every place that every foreigner must walk into. For example, trading. There's a minimum capital requirement of $1 million, at least 20 skilled Ghanaians that you must have. And there are some, as it were, activities that are solely preserved for Ghanaians. Things like a barber shop or salon if you operate a fleet of cars that is less than 25, among a host of others. The argument has been, oh, it's protectionism, it's not good, allow people to walk around it. Others have also argued, and I believe Doc is articulating that from a certain perspective, that you need to have minimum protection for your citizenry. And I think that we'll carry out the debate a bit more outside this platform and come to a compromise. I called it unhealthy compromise. Nobody walk away happy, but at least we would achieve minimum standards across the board. So that I know would happen.
It's good to contextualize it, because you see, in the growth path or in the maturity stage of an economy, that is why policies are reviewed using the KPIs and you keep tweaking. So that when you're still in the primary stage of an economy, like I put it, when a kid is crawling, you don't use the principles of running to ask him to run. It can't work. Unfortunately, over the years, we are still a primary economy. We're still exporting everything raw. So if at this stage you seek to go use an economy which is matured and run its principle for purpose of FDI to scale it up, you will distort the economy. And then forever, we shall be trading and we shall be where we are. Respectfully submitted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Very passionate about it. You can see that it's at the heart of what AGI believes should drive our policy engagement. So I come back to my colleague G. From PwC's perspective, how can government and, as it were, the private sector and businesses collaborate to be able to make regulations achieve its intended purpose without having unintended consequences?
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kofi. I think we are in political season, right? So let me just, I'm only jumping to support, right? Usually we antagonize. But that goes to the point I was making about the regulatory framework or the legal framework, whichever way you look at it, whether you are crawling or all of that. There's always a challenge around what do we want? Or what do we want as a country? And who are we protecting? Sometimes you can't protect, right? But digitalization will surpass you. People are already playing in the industry, and then suddenly you start calling them names. Sometimes you have to find a balance, however unhealthy it may look. I think that we, to answer your question now, what can be done? Yes, consultations. I think regulators, to start with, have an idea of what policy is asking them to do. And a good number of the laws we have in place are towards a testing standard, are towards requiring some order. What happens occasionally is that they get outdated sometimes because things have moved too fast. And I feel that if there's a good enough framework, we be adaptable. Now, where will the regulators get that knowledge from of how things are changing? I think it's industry. So I'm glad to hear all the work groups and also all the consultation that is going on. Now, here's the thing. There's something also very cultural. We are Ghanaians. When I come and tell you something and don't do anything about it, I'll go and talk about it. They don't listen to me anymore. I don't go to the meeting anymore. But it has to be, and I'm trying to speak for both sides now, one at a time. One at a time. And that is where I lean. But on the other side as well, regulators must go back to those groups that have been consulted to say that, look, we are taking steps. And indeed, you must take steps. It must be little steps. So there must always be that conversation. Things will not happen in a year. At some point, when we latch onto that one thing that we want to do, or 2, 3, 4 things that we want to focus on for the year, we can reduce them into those work groups that we work with. There are a lot of associations in Ghana as well. They have very loud voices. These are groups to also consult. In fact, they have positions that they can put out there. Now, here's the thing. Covering all of this is the issue of trust. Whichever way you look at it, it's either government wants what it wants, and industry wants what it wants. And sometimes data is presented, by industry, and it sounds like your data. Your data. And the question is there any other data anywhere that we can hold supreme connected to the data that has been presented? But all the same, I would say that we are working together in this. I sat in a policy conference, and one of those leading the reforms from Nigeria, tax reforms particularly, said that one of their mantra in their group is that in God we trust, but every other person must bring data. And it is because, we approach a lot of things as Ghanaians sentimentally, and this is hurting me, this is hurting me. And then the policymaker will ask you, show me. Or maybe we are leaving, show me who is leaving. And then we still go sentimental. So why don't we all provide data? We all trust God, we understand. But let's all provide data and let that data perhaps knock one off. And then we say, look, this year or this number of years, this is the direction we are going to go. And let it filter all the way up. I know that we have workers, but we also have politicians who are also making promises. But let it filter all the way up. And let us all agree as a country, where do we want to go? And what is the framework we are going to work with? That way, it all cascades and we actually streamline everything, particularly on the business side. Corporates don't particularly vote. The individuals there vote. But corporates and their actions have an impact on how the individuals vote. So it's me saying to the politicians, listen to us. Because the corporates can swing things the other way. So that's what I'll say. Let us continue the dialogue, but let us keep that conversation going, because we won't do all of it as regulators. But we don't want, I'm also asking industries not to be angry because all of it is not done. That conversation must go on, and it probably will go on for a number of years before we actually achieve what we want to achieve.
Thank you very much, G. I know our time is fast spent. I'm very particular about it, as somebody who is always particular about students coming to class early and us finishing on time. I don't want to go beyond. So I'll take concluding remarks from my panelists, and then I'll give probably a summary of what I have as my takeaways, and then we'll bow out from the stage. So, Mrs. Ado, your concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Kofi, and then thank you very much, my colleagues here. I must say we've taken notes of some of the issues raised by AGI. AGI is our partner forever, and therefore we'll continue to work together with AGI, my brother. And another thing that we are also working at, I must say that the rolling review of the government's regulations and policies, very important. So a framework has been developed, working with Law Reforms Commission and then Attorney General's Department, so that we formalize it. Like this year or every so and so, let's review the act, the institutions reviewing their act, and then the legal teams of the various government institutions will be trained to use the framework, to be able to be reviewing their regulations, because sometimes, like yours, it was more than 10 years before we finalize it. So we'll work, we'll regularize some of these things. And then there's something called regulatory impact assessment. When we are coming out with policies, if we don't do the regulatory impact assessments, the fallout becomes so severe and we are not able to implement some of these policies. So this is another institutionalized activity that the government is also working to be able to pick it up, that every government institution coming out with any policy or regulation must have the regulatory impact assessment. Our concern is the businesses, and therefore you have to do the business regulatory impact assessment. And therefore, when you come out with the policy, one sector will not be crying. Minister of Trade and Industry, we are in the middle of a deep ocean. Trade here, industry here, and it's not easy. And that's why consultation is very important. Thank you very much. If Guta was to be here, it would have been another story altogether. So we are really suffering, but we need to make sure that the economy is stable. and everybody. We deserve better, isn't it? Yeah, as economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ado. Doc, Dake. Yeah.
Well, I believe that's in my earlier statement. I said in a free market economy, you need a delicate balance in regulation for purpose of maximization. As you seek to do that, make sure you do not negate a lot of the activities that will frustrate the business community. Unfortunately, we see a lot of negatives. We need to step up. As you do your business, regulatory assessment, it would be great if we could see this published. We need a publication of such assessment so that we can easily test it with our various sectors to see whether this publication of the results you have reflect what we are really seeing on the market. So kindly give us that pledge and we'll work with you. Collaboration with the private sector, it is what it should be. And we love what is happening currently with the GRA. Ghana.gov has a private sector collaboration. And that is what is deepening the domestic revenue collection. So in the case of regulatory issues, let's do same. Let's get private sector to partner you. We are fairly aware of your limitations on the infrastructure. That's where private sector comes in to decouple a bit of the weight from you and have a very clear, business arrangement under the PPP, the public partnership. That also has its own difficulties. By the time you go through the PPP to attain a permit to go into such relationship, it's also a tall order. Let your assessment on the PPP come for us to assess. And members who are here, who have once upon a time tried it, will pass their comments on your assessment. And together, we collaborate and use technology to deepen this collaboration and regulation issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc, for that wonderful insight. G, do you have any final words for us?
Yeah, and I will affiliate with the Moti point. And I'll put it this way. I'm not too sure where the mandate is going. Not so much to the minister, but to Moti and to GIPC. And I borrowed this. All things must work together for businesses and the economy. So think about it. I'm introducing this thing. All things must work together for businesses and the economy. And if we see that it's going to create a nuisance, we should ask ourselves again, is this something that we want to contain? And that is how I want to summarize it. Everything we do, all the actions that we take must work together for businesses and the economy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, G. And I would like to also thank everyone for giving us the opportunity. It's been a wonderful session. I have a few takeaways that I'd just like to summarize. I think it was stated that, one, we cannot just copy best practices. We should have our aspiration, where we want to get to, and that would inform the processes and procedures that we will fashion out. Also, on the issue of making regulation and its impact, there's the issue of regulatory impact assessment or stakeholder consultations, and this can be pre and post. So before the regulations are made, we do the necessary consultations. After they are made and implemented for a while, we do also an assessment to see whether there's a need to tweak the regulations. And these consultations would impact whether they are simple enough for businesses to comply, and also whether they are convenient enough for them to be able to comply, especially with the payments and other systems that come along. We are told technical working groups are working at various aspects of regulation and trying to streamline them all the way from the start of the business up until if there's any dispute mechanism that ends up in the court. And then we are hoping that GIPC, which is also a very big forum around which a lot of the businesses work, would also continue to engage with the various stakeholders and bring to light certain things that are important and also streamline the processes for us to be able to have a good business regulatory environment. Thank you very much once again. We would take leave of you.
William and the team, please remain seated for just a minute, please. A huge round of applause for them for their contributions to today's event. A quick one, I would love that it's always a two-way street when conversations like this come up. If, for the sake of time, I don't mind taking about 2 questions from the audience, yes, that the panel can answer, and maybe William, you can treat as well. Yes, please, yes. Let me borrow your mic.
Thank you. Mine is just a comment. It's not a question. Just to allay your fears, some of, and I really have enjoyed the conversation. First of all, I mean, it's been very, very good. But government recently, the president set up a National Digitalization Integration Committee to try and integrate almost all the data sets that we have internally. And I believe that once that is done, it will remove a lot of the fluff and a lot of the duplications that they are. But I also agree that for regulatory impact, you need all the players at the same table. If you don't get them all at the same table, we will always be running back and forth, back and forth. So I just wanted to make that.
Thank you very much. My name is James, MD for Lene HR. I want to thank GIPC for the surprise video. I'm really surprised. What I want to say is that the discussion has been very valuable, and as the GIPC Chief Executive said, if you involve all the players, the stakeholders, it will help a lot. Even though it will delay the process, it's not easy getting everybody on board. It will delay the process, but in the end, it will come out good. The other thing I want to say is that since 2017, we have had the opportunity to work on an aspect with DVLA. And we can all attest about the results DVLA is churning out. The access, the flexibility, the categorization of the services that are being delivered. I think KGL is here. We have many companies like that, Lene HR, and the local organizations. We have areas we can fix that affects directly in the public sector. But it looks like the government sector prefer to use foreign organizations. But there are aspects, because we are here, we are Ghanaian made, we know areas that, or the attitude of our people and what we need to get them, to change their mindset, to improve the services we deliver, because we are also customers to the government. So we understand some of the challenges. And I think it is time we explore some of the support we can get from our local suppliers to fix some of our local challenges. So I don't know if Ministry of Trade has that plans to give access to local suppliers and support services to fix some of the areas so that if you are taking a policy, the little area that can bring negativity to affect other areas, I think there are local people who can support in fixing those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, what I want to say is I want to say a big thank you to all of you as the chairman of GIPC. And I also want to assure the business community that the board that I chair is chaired by an entrepreneur, and we have industrialists on the board. I think we have the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Trade, the Governor of the Central Bank, and most importantly, we have industrialists. About 4 of us are from the private sector, so your interest will always be protected. I heard Humphrey talk about the amendments, and I can assure you that the business people on the board protect the business interest. So anything that is against the private sector's interest is strongly debated and articulated clearly and presented to the president as such. So that's the assurance I will give you, and thank you very much for attending.
Mrs. Ado would like to react to that, please.
Okay, thank you very much. The question, I don't know whether it's about procurement, because I'm hearing surprise, and then, so if it is procurement, you know, we have the local content bill in Ghana, and then procurement is done accordingly. When it comes to IT, when it comes to energy, the procurement sector, there's a way when you are coming out with the criteria, we use it. It's when you go for the international bidding, we bring all these criteria into it. So that's what I can say for now. And I'll only recommend also that please, for the consultation, you can also visit the portal. Currently, there's Labor Act on the portal. The GIPC bill is on the portal. We have Health and Safety bill on the portal, MSME Act on the portal. Please visit the portal and you can give your input in relation to some of these current ongoing consultation on the portal. Thank you.
Thank you. Just pardon me, I just dropped in my spirit, and this should go to the Deputy Finance Minister. One of the consequential issues of the Bank of Ghana's policy on the bi-weekly exchange rate at the port of entry has significant implication on the cost of doing business every 2 weeks. It changes automatically. It leads to inflation. It has consequential issue on your deficits, on your debt position, and invariably on your macroeconomic fundamentals. Our proposition to you, and since you're a tax expert and looking into that very kitty, is that we need the BOG to conduct a research on this bi-weekly adjustment at the port. Because you see, if we do the analysis, that cost can be shifted for 30 days or 90 days. It will bring significant reasonability in the exchange rate management. Because that's the forefront. Your domestic revenue that you mobilize, majority comes from the port. And I've given you the flowchart that goes all the way to your debt and your macro. Respectfully, let's conduct our research. I humbly submit. Thank you.
Thank you. So the portal is brr.gov.gh. So we are encouraged by Ministry of Trade and Industry to visit it. Thank you.
A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. Will, thank you so much. Mrs. Ado, Dr. Nyimdake, and Mr. Fiajo, thank you so much for making up this panel. The conversations were indeed brilliant. Please, another round of applause for them. Thank you. And as Masters, Dr. Nyimdake did not want any usurpation. In the very last minute, he seemed to have usurped the meeting with that final propos that he pushed out. Yes, congratulations anyway. I believe this has been well taken. Thank you. As we move along, ladies and gentlemen, please, we will take our poll now. These are the final poll that we'll take, as we said earlier. This is a listening institution and organization, and we'd love to hear from you. We have 3 more questions in the poll that we'll take. Let's please engage with the poll now. Yes. If you've already scanned, you're already in the system. If you haven't done so earlier, please do so now with the QR codes in front of you. Please, let's do that in a couple of minutes. The first one says, suggest one thing to improve the 21st edition of GC100 Awards. How confident are you that the GRA's implementation of digital systems will streamline tax processes? Last but not the least says, what is your primary expectation from the government to support business growth? Thank you. Talk about taxes, please allow me to acknowledge the presence of the Assistant Commissioner, Domestic Tax and Revenue Division, Mr. Francis Apia Amo, please. You want to give us a wave or rise so we can see you right there, please. Let's appreciate him. Please, before we move to the second part or the concluding part of today's event, let's take some video messages. Thank you.
Like I did the GC100, because we do get, you know, the feeling of the GC100. I think the first time was very surreal. We don't do what we do for the applause, but it also doesn't negate the fact that it's nice to be noticed. And I remember having done so much research into an award, how awards are granted, like I did the GC100, because we do get invitations for awards a lot. But this one, I remember looking at, you know, all the criteria, you know, the scores, the this, the that, because we were in truly amazing company. And for me, we are confident, but that gives you like a different level of confidence. And I look at that list and I'm just like, we did this, we got here, and which means that, you know, a lot of people like myself, a lot of firms like myself can also do it. And I think historically, people always think when you think GC100, you're thinking, oh, there's no way I can. But I'm a sitting proof that it's not about the size, it's about the impact. And each one of us can actually do it. You just have to be determined enough. So for me, you know, 2 years running, I'm like, we're it.
Club 100 is one of the most prestigious awards in Ghana. I think being on the Club 100 is so important that as a company, we've ranked more than 10 times. This is the 20th edition, so I can say we've participated actively in about 10 or more of it. I mean, that goes to explain to you the importance that we attach to being part of Club 100. It is very vital in terms of having a competitive edge against our clients. It's also important to know that even though we're an indigenous company, there's something that is ranking us and letting you know that even in that space, we're still doing very well. So the blue chip companies who are in the Club 100, it is always important that Star Assurance features there.
At 53, Guinness Ghana Breweries.
I mean, it's always good to be portrayed among the top companies in the market, right? And also it's a testament of what as a business we're actually contributing outside there, because sometimes we focus on our ambition, on our day-to-day, and then we have no clue how big our contribution is outside there. So we're quite excited and happy, proud to be actually part of that. And I will also say that we must be one of the few companies in Ghana with a female CEO. So me sitting here as a female CEO is also a testament of how far Ghana has gone towards empowering female in such leadership positions.
Please, a huge round of applause for the companies spotlighted. It is still the exclusive third quarter edition of the GIPC CEO's breakfast meeting and launch of the 21st edition of the GC100 Awards here today. As we move along, please, we are coming to the concluding part of today's event. Please, CEOs and representatives, please take note that we have special packages for you at the foyer at the registration desk. So please, as soon as we are done and you're on your way out, please consult the registration desk to pick up your packages. Thank you very much. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, please allow me, Mr. Alex Dade, to join me here together with the CEO of GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant, Mr. Ahumka Lindsay, and Mr. Ajiman Dia, who are all board members as well. Please join me here as we launch the 21st edition of GC100. Please, a huge round of applause for these wonderful gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, now at this point, please, we'll have a preview of a video, but this video is a countdown video, and please, if we are all excited about celebrating excellence among businesses in Ghana, please, as the screen rolls, do count down with me. Are you ready? Are you ready? Please, I apologize. Mr. Minister, please join us here. Honorable Minister, please join us here. I can see you're having a good time rolling on your phone, and that's great. I know, right? I apologize. Nicely fitted in, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the screen. In 10, 9, 8. Shall we count down together, please? 7. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, please. Mr. Grant, I'll leave the microphone to you.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the board of GIPC, the chairman and the board members, the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade, and all our partner agencies like the Ghana Free Zones, the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Ghana Tourism Authority. We like to welcome you to the 21st edition. I suspect that this year there are going to be some surprises. There are going to be some major surprises. But we are very keen to see that Ghanaian enterprise grows. At GIPC, all the work we do is for the benefit of Ghanaian enterprise and the Ghanaian economy. And I must say, it's not an easy job. It's hard because you constantly have to be on the road. And you're constantly competing against your peers who are constantly reforming. So you are in a dynamic situation. And you're even competing with the same countries that you go for investment. You compete against China, you compete against the US, who are the two largest recipients of foreign direct investment. And so I am particularly delighted that today has been a very successful event. The panel was formidable. I think we had the things that we should hear. And we would definitely continue with the engagement. Even as we're sitting at the table, we've already planned on how we can do sustainable engagement so that we hear the voice of private enterprise much, much more. I dare say that the survival of this country is based on the survival of private enterprise. It's the companies out there who have employed the people, who in the face of global disruption and everything have still kept businesses going, is the private sector. All we can do is to ensure, and as I said, that we create millionaires and billionaires out of our private sector so we also become the investors in the African continent and its opportunities. So thank you very much for coming, and we will likely see you in, is it October? At the Ghana Club 100 edition 21. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Gentlemen, I believe we've not had enough photos yet. Would you please just line up for a beautiful photo one more time? And I'd ask that Dr. Humphrey please join them. Yes. Please. We'll do that right after we're done with that. Yes, please. I believe we're done. Thank you. Please, a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. In the spirit Dr. Nyimdake is truly a prophet. While I called him, he decided to actually bring one along to create a balance. Yes. Thank you very much for that thoughtfulness. As we go along, also in the spirit of the celebration, please, I'd like to call on a gentleman who would deliver a special message on sponsorship. Please, let's welcome the head of PR of GIPC, Mr. Charles Opoku Mensah.
Thank you for the opportunity, Honorable Minister, Captains of Industry, all protocols observed. I'm just here to let you know that we will be knocking your doors for support. And so kindly open the doors to us. We've sent proposals to almost all the companies seated here. And we would like to have you help us and support the cause. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We've gradually come to a close. I want to call on Mr. Yofi Grant one more time to do us the honors of the closing remarks. Yes, I would not take it that his final words were said during the launch, so please, one more time, let's put it up for him. Thank you.
Thank you. I thought I'd actually done that already, but also to add my voice to sincere thanks for all the very hard-working CEOs who are here, our distinguished ladies and gentlemen who are here, the fantastic panel. We thank you very much. And yes, Charles, we thank you. We also we'll come to you for assistance to make this even better than ever. I think we are all in this together. So let's work together and make sure that we actually honor, Lord, and glorify our top 100 companies. We believe they are the ones who are going to transform our country eventually. So thank you once again for coming, and we look forward to seeing you pretty soon, either as a sponsor of the Ghana Club 100 or as an award winner. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the CEO of GIPC, Mr. Yofi Grant. Thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, one more time. This has been the exclusive third quarter edition of the GIPC CEO's Breakfast Meeting and launch of the 21st edition of the GC100 Awards here at Kempinski Hotel, Gold Coast City, Accra, under the theme Partnering for Prosperity, Building a Thriving Ghanaian Economy. Also, a very huge thank you to our sponsors, KGL Group, VFS Global, Delta Airlines, and the Bank of Ghana. My name has been Atwabas, and it's been such a pleasure being here with you. Please, we'll take some interviews right here on the stage, right after when we are done. But ladies and gentlemen, please, the event officially has come to one quick announcement, please. One quick announcement. Please, the poll results are ready. Yes, so before we leave, please let's take a look at the distribution. Thank you. Nice. This looks good. What is your primary expectation from the government to support business growth? Tax incentives leads in the distribution. We all agree, right? Nice. Rate your experience at the GC100 CEO Breakfast Meeting 2024 on a scale of 1 to 5. Oh, please, a huge round of applause for ourselves right there, believing in what we're doing. Would you be interested in participating in next year's edition? All right, I believe that would have been the last one. Please, a huge round of applause for our contributions in these fair distributions that we've had so far. Thank you very much. The event has gradually now come to an official end. Thank you for being here, and we appreciate you. And just as mentioned, we hope to see you being celebrated in October. God bless Ghana, God bless GIPC, and God bless us all. We'll have media interviews, as mentioned, please, right here, please. For our dignitaries, we'll have media interviews right here. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
At OBG, this is the 13th anniversary of collaboration with GIPC. And let me just say that in Africa, they do stand out as the world-class promotion agency.
Please, a gentle reminder for CEOs and their representatives to take their packages at the registration desk. A quick reminder, please, CEOs and representatives of CEOs, please visit the registration desk for your packages. The media interviews now will resume. Thank you.